Hello, everybody. Hi. How are you?
Hey there.
We're back with another stream. Another stream after a long time. We're back with a stream with a Fireside Chat. My name is Thomas, or from me in game, and I'm here with Rod and Lyric. Say hello for the audience. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
How's it going?
Oh, and we have
Pretty good.
also Marco. I forgot. Sorry, Marco, because I'm viewing the cameras here and you're not there. Sorry. Marco is also here with us in the background, spying. I see some people. Sorry if we started late. We were setting up the stream again with some new graphics and stuff and discussing what to do during the stream. Yeah, we have some things to talk about. First off is this new update. I'm sure some of you or many of you already are playing the game and are testing the new update. We have some bugs here and there that we are tracking, testing, and trying to fix as soon as possible. And we wanted to thank you all for testing during those hours and days, actually, and reporting all the bugs on Discord, on Reddit, even Steam, because we do check Steam discussions, and we do reply to that. Also, Raf replies to those comments, so thank you very much. All right, okay, so Crucible update. During this update, we added a new planet or a new star. How can we call it, Rod? Is it a planet? Is it a star? Is it a...
Well, we actually added the planet. What you've been playing on previously was Haven, which is a moon that surrounds the planet. It goes a little bit out of focus from time to time, which is why every once in a while the planet is going to be inaccessible. For the most part, it is available to you, but under the pinnings, that allows us to actually reset the planet to allow you to destroy Crucible as much as you want. And at some point, it will basically lock you out, move you back to Haven, and then it'll reset itself and basically get refreshed. With some underpinning work that we've done on the side that allowed us to get some extra functionality available to us. That's the kind of systems that we'll be using for things like wild wormholes and things like that in the future. The ability to spin up a planet, refresh it, and if we wanted to change the map on the fly are things that we're working on in the background. And the Crucible allowed us an opportunity to start presenting some of that information.
So it's not... Solution. Yeah. No, you go, Larry. You go.
Oh, it's a very clever solution to the problem of, when people are new, they like to immediately start terraforming and sort of messing up the terrain. And this way we can always have new terrain for them to test out that feature in their systems.
Okay. Yeah, I'm switching back to the game so people can see while we speak. So, first off, asking to the viewers, what do you think about Crucible? Do you have any questions? Do you have any, opinions or concerns about it? This is the right time to ask because we are here for you. If we can reply to those questions, if you ask us like, hey, why the temperature is so high, our answer will be yes. And that's it.
It is a very hot
planet. Sorry, go ahead, Larry.
No, it is a very hot planet, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Crucible certainly is. So to give a little bit more background of Crucible, what we were actually attempting to do here with Crucible and why we have this update. Previously, we had done Haven. That was an introductory to our game. Each of you, as you join our game, you log in and you run into our hallway. That teaches you the very, very basics of the game: movement, jumping, climbing, a little bit of terraforming, and you get through that, you get to Haven. Once you get to Haven, we introduce you to a little bit of our lore and a little bit of our storyline, and we direct you through a series of quests that you do, or missions, I believe we call them. And as you go through these missions, we're teaching you other aspects of the game. Crucible is part 2 of that, where we've expanded on that and allowed you to get to a little bit more combat-centric side of it and a little bit more of the resource gathering, because on Haven, we locked it down so that you couldn't actually dig and affect the world, where Crucible you can, which goes into the resetting of the world if you do destroy a lot of it. And that was kind of our plan. To go forward with that. And we've definitely seen some feedback, and I haven't actually looked to see if anybody's put any feedback in there, but we've definitely seen it on the Discord and the forums that it's very hand-holdy. We put you on rails and we put you on a system that you're forced to go through certain quests. And there's certainly two sides of the fence to that. Some people want a very open sandbox game. Some people would like a little bit more directed game. And we're trying to accomplish both of those as much as we possibly can. We do feel that in looking at feedback we've gotten from the players and us playing through it ourselves, we've gone a little too far on the rails at this point. We definitely admit to that, and we are going to address that. It's one of the systems that we are looking at as we speak right now. We have a variation of it put up on our test servers to go through. We're trying to revise it as quickly as we possibly can. Not to get too much in details how we're going to change that, but I'll give you a little bit of an insight onto it. We are still going to have some on-the-rail quests. There are some ones that are going to teach you very basic fundamentals of the game and get you started. Those will be required for you to do. But they're very small. Right now there's 4 of them, I believe. And you can complete them in a matter of probably 15, 20 minutes if you know what you're doing. Outside of that, we're going to introduce a new UI system that is our challenge system. And the challenge systems are basically a series of different activities that you may want to do to learn the game, or activities we'd like you to do. An example of that is, and it's drawn up as kind of a grid of different achievements or challenges to do. And each one of them, as you do it, you are going to have the ability to choose to do it if you want to. If you want to, great, do it. If you don't know how to do something, you can look at it, and an example of one would be place a camp. That's the simple ask we're asking you to do. When you click on it and look at it, it's going to tell you information of place a camp. You will need a camp kit that you find in your inventory. Right-clicking that camp kit will put it out into the world. And potentially will also include a lot of the information that you see on the F1 screens. If you go to F1, there's a camping section in there that actually has a picture of the camp that tells about why you want to have camps, because they are a place you can change out weapons, you can craft in them once you've upgraded those. That information will be linked to the achievement. You don't have to do all those things, but it gives you an access to that Galactipedia or something, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, of information for you. So then as you're going through and doing normal gameplay, you can choose to look at these achievements, keep using achievements, challenges. You look at these challenges and go, hey, plan to put out a kit, camp, and you can choose to decide to go do that if you want to, and it's going to have a reward associated with it. Those rewards are going to be, we want to make them interesting enough for you to want to do them, but not necessity. An example, and I don't know if this is the reward or not, but I'm just throwing out a reward, is like, go place a camp. Maybe we give you 10 camp kits as a reward. It's a rather minor thing, but as a player that knows what to do and stuff, that's 10 camp kits I don't have to go craft. Just by placing one, I get them for free. That's kind of the example of some of them may be. But a later achievement, or I keep using achievement, challenge, a later challenge that you may use might be go kill a creature. And you get a simple reward for that. Then there might be go kill 100 creatures, go kill 1,000 creatures, go kill 10,000 creatures. And those will have a little bit more interesting ones, because you may get something like a title associated with killing 1,000 and a title for doing 10,000 of a particular creature. And you can now show off those particular titles and have those out there so people see, oh, hey, this guy's done this particular challenge. We want to aim some of them in that direction. And that's kind of the way the system's going to go. I have no visuals I'm going to show you at this point of it, but that's kind of a quick overview of what it is. And that's going to teach you the game a little bit different way and a little bit more options for it. It is definitely a fairly significant revamp of what we're doing from our current system. So you're going to see when we first introduce this, you're going to see the story behind it is that Haven was under attack from at one point, and they're rebuilding from it. So you're going to see some of the buildings that we have kind of closed off. We're probably not going to go through and destroy them at this point and put like smoke and stuff like that. It'd be nice to do that, but we're not going to right now. But we're going to lock it off a little bit. In the process of doing that, we're actually optimizing some of the Haven buildings we have and using a little less pieces, things like that, to help with performance and optimization. So you should see a little bit better performance on that too. So that was kind of an added bonus that we're doing it, because we are revisiting some of those. But that's kind of an overview of like what we aimed for with Crucible and Haven originally. And I think we hit a lot of those, though some of the missions were a little bit complicated and a little time consuming. And we understand that. And our new system, I think, is going to resolve a lot of those issues. Is it going to be perfect? Certainly not. We can't make something that's going to please everybody, but we'll do the best we can. We're hoping to premiere that in the next couple weeks. Probably as quick as we can. We want to get it out there and change that. The reason that I want to get it out there personally as a producer as soon as we can is under the hood, things that I actually track is I use a separate program and I pull statistics. So I can actually see the number of people actually that joined our hallway this last publish that we did starting from Tuesday. I can see the number of those. I can see how many of them completed the first stage of that, which is interact with the identity kiosk. And I can see numbers in there to see that clearly I have a drop off from people logging in the game. The server thinks they joined the game and then didn't even make it to that very first pop-up. So we have a drop off right there. And then I can see drop offs of how many made it to through the climbing and through the movement. I can see the drop off of where people got to the terraformer and didn't get through the dirt. From under the hood, those statistics are really important to us. So while we are certainly making a lot of these changes based off the feedback you've given us on the Rails part of it, the important part we got from getting this publish out was getting some extra statistics to see where the gameplay is actually failing right now. And that's the important part. It's a very important part to me, is seeing where those are, because while we have a lot of people that are vocal on our Discord and post on our Discord or send messages in, there's a lot of people that are just silent and they don't tell us what's going on. So that was a huge part of us getting this last update, is getting the ability for us to do that information, and that's going to expand through our whole game. We're going to include statistics of like that for myself and the other parts of the team to look at, to see how our missions work, how our different systems are being used. Like example would be like the F1 screen provides a ton of information. We've spent a lot of time putting information on those. Sometimes ends up out of date, but we deal with that. Do people actually use it? We don't know if people use it other than them telling us from it. But with this kind of back end that we've now introduced with this update, I can pull those statistics and see how many people logged in the game and did they ever use the F1 screen and look at it or not. So we can start optimizing some of those. Under the hood, that's something you don't see, but is very important for us. And I have spoken a long time about Crucible and lots of weird things there now. We want to talk about other things we updated in this update, or something else you want to talk about, Thomas?
About performance. I was trying to finish up a mission here, but then I started fighting a little bit too much. Yeah, about performance, because we are trying to optimize as much as possible, not just the vegetation, but also buildings. Now, we did deploy some changes about trees and vegetation in general, but we are also working with building blocks, because we know that those are probably one of the main bottlenecks when it comes to performance, because you guys build so much that really stress out the servers at some point. I don't know if we have any information about that.
Sure. That is certainly one of the pinnacle things that we're working on a day-to-day basis of trying to increase performance, because as I mentioned, like the Fatui, we often have dropout of some people that just launch the game, they get in and they just can't move. So we're going to lose some players there. We need to fix things like that. And we continue to work on that every day. With this particular update, as Thomas mentioned, we did a fairly substantial change to our floral system, basically making it, I'll go a little technical, not really technical, but I'll make it easy to understand technical. On an average world that you go to right now, there are about 10,000 floral that is on the planet at any time, give or take 1,000 or so. Mm-hmm. Our engine right now, we can easily support 20 to 30,000 objects on our server that we've tested. After that, it definitely has some issues, and we're still optimizing that, and we're bringing that number up all the time. But if you think about that, that's 10,000 objects that we have, and with the current performance they had, we had that cap. We can raise that cap a little bit more because we've optimized those performance of that 10,000 items. Our next step is, what's the next biggest thing we have in the world? It's our buildings that players are putting out. Because on some of the planets, if I look at, I'm going to start with the last planet that we had that had a big city in it, it had over 10,000 objects placed by players. So we were over 20,000 objects when you combine those two together, and our soft cap that we had set where we knew things were going to be issues was 30,000. We were getting very close to that. We can increase that cap as we increase that performance. So that's what we're focusing on right now, is finding how we can optimize the biggest bang for our buck to make your player experience better. in the future, what we're looking at is not only changing the building ones that we're currently working on right now. We did a single pass on it, so they are better on the current build you're on, and you probably saw a little bit of performance increase. The big place you see that is like Haven, for example. Even though there's only a few buildings there, every one of those buildings are built with the same building pieces that you use on a day-to-day basis. When we created those, we made them very intricate at times. So there was a lot of pieces being used there. So you saw a performance decrease there. We're cleaning up some of that and actually making it less. We're probably going to shorten or make that city a little smaller, make it a little less detailed as we go forward too, to help with that. Outside of that, we're also going to be doing a pass through our characters and our character models and the NPCs you see, because that's the next big bottleneck we have that we need to solve. And we continue to work on those. In addition, on the other side, we're working on reducing some of the data that we're sending to you, and that because that becomes a performance bottleneck because it's then completely designated by the network quality that you have, changes what your experience is going to be. So we're trying to make that more optimized so it'll support if you don't have a good connection or you're right now all of our servers are located in the US. If you're overseas, you certainly see a performance degradation there. And we're trying to work on those kind of things.
And then
yeah,
I mean that pretty much covers up the optimization part. Personally, one of the, from my point of view, big changes we deployed is the new map system when we scan for survey points.
It is a big change and exciting to see.
Yeah, somebody suggested to activate a grid view on Discord, which I 100% agree. But I think that this is the base system that we can use also for future, probably bigger maps. Is that possible?
This is the base system that we're going to have for the mapping system, and what you're seeing is the very base of it right now. The fundamentals that we're going to change to it is through probably skill unlocks of various different professions is going to allow you to enhance that map a bit. Things that we'd like to see on there would be, while we're probably, I'm not going to say never, but we're probably not likely to do anytime soon showing you all the building objects on there. We could certainly add the ability for you to know where zoning lots are. So you could at least have a toggle on the side and see where all the zoning lots are on that particular map. We could potentially add a toggle on there of, I want to see my active or all my current missions. So if you have 5 missions that are in the background, the points that they would be on the map or on the regular world in the overview, if you were to have them selected, we can use those same points and just put them on the map and show where they are. That's a good quality of life change that we can do fairly simple. As we get into our waypoint system and actually allow you to create your own waypoints, we're going to also tie that into the map too, so that you can toggle on certain individual waypoints or certain types of waypoints. So if you have a bunch of waypoints that are labeled as like mineral deposit ones, maybe you want to turn those on and go see what those look like on your map. We're going to have those options available as we continue on. This is just the foundation of what the map system is, but we do want to also add gameplay associated with it. So certain people will have a little bit more abilities because they've chosen to use those skills. We're also going to go to a system where potentially these maps will be tradable. Mm-hmm. So you can pick your current active map that you have and you want to look at that particular map and you bought it from somebody else. They included waypoints in it, so you can then trade those waypoints and that whole map to it. So maybe you don't want to go out and actually get all the survey points and see the map. Instead, you can go buy one that somebody else has already done it for you. Those are part of the systems that we're just building on, and this is the foundation for it. Though getting just this in and seeing that visual was huge. With that change, one of the things that some of the players did notice, when we original one, the ASCII map that we had for surveying, we've taken that out. You now have this map and you use this instead, which means you don't have to have the skill for it. But one of the things that players did notice with it is our survey map was 90 degrees turned. So it was right, but not right, because it was turned 90 degrees. We've now corrected that, and this is actually right of what our maps actually consider north, south, east, and west.
Then I see a question from the chat from, now I'm going to say that wrong, 100%. Coin Ditzel. Apologies. He's asking, are we able to log in regularly now, or is it still a certain time? I think you mean like playtest times. But if you back a time ago on Kickstarter, for example, yeah, you should be able to join already. You should have received an invite already. And if you didn't, that's weird, okay? But you can send a support request to the email. Where is it? support@playableworlds.com. Or you can message me on Discord, and I can manage that pretty quick if you want. After the stream, I can give you access. Probably the email ended up in the spam folder, maybe.
I'm going to strongly recommend the best solution for support issues for your account is to go through the support email. Try not to, as much as possible, let's try not to direct messages to the staff itself, because it's easier for the support email because multiple people are involved with it. And we're not directly dropping something on one person's plate. That's just general thing we need to do it. If you have issues with your in-game character issues, while we can go through the support email also, my recommendation there ends up being currently filing a ticket on Discord. It's the easiest place to get it, and I'll usually research a lot of those, or the moderators will help with those.
And then we have new weapons. Yay! New ways to break things, I guess. I'm now going to Haven.
Grenade launcher?
Yeah. I still have to try it, by the way. I'm proud.
Me
at
too.
least.
So I'm going to go through a few things that we actually did in our updates. Just since we talked about Crucible and stuff, I'll break down the big sections of our update right now, as we're kind of talking about. One of which that Thomas is talking about right now is we did introduce the grenade launchers. It's a new series of weapons that you can use. They have an arc attack as their primary, and then as you're crafting them, you can choose a different status effect to add to them. Through that crafting process, you're going to need to get a new drop that is found in the world, primarily from higher level creatures that are of that particular status. So if you're looking to add heat to it, you're going to be looking for creatures that use heat attacks that are of the higher levels, the higher damage ratings, and they will drop various different quality levels of the component needed to make each of those status weapons. Once you've actually crafted it, you then have an arching grenade launcher that we throw that has an AoE attack associated with it and that status that you crafted it as. It's kind of a neat attack. I've been playing with it a little bit myself. I'm absolutely aware of the fact that the targeting is a little wacky with it. We are working on that. Our prediction system, we are currently updating a lot of things in our combat system, and one of those is prediction of projectiles. And it's not playing well right now with the arc that we're doing for it. So it's something that we're looking at, investigating, and hoping to resolve in the very near future. So keep that in mind as you start looking at that particular weapon. What you can see Thomas doing now is going through and crafting the individual pieces for it. I'm not sure he's going to have the last one that's needed, because you do have to get the drops for that. But we'll see.
I'm on a testing account, so maybe I also have a backpack full. So I need to.
Yeah, I don't think I added that special status effect one to the dev tool once. So you'd have to spawn it directly in order to craft it. But we'll move on from that. In addition to that, other changes that we're currently doing right now is not only creating new weapons, we're going through and revamping some of our existing weapons and expanding out the skill trees. Expanding out the skill trees kind of ended up being in two parts on where we ended up doing our build. I'm going to step back and actually talk about that for a second. One of the things that you guys probably did notice is we usually were on a cadence of every 3 weeks we tried to do a publish to you. This last particular one, we ended up being in, I think, at 5 weeks before we published, which is out of the normal cadence that we do. And the reality behind that is we had several different systems come in that caused us problems, and we couldn't meet the deadline that we had set for ourselves of that 3 weeks, and we didn't want to push out something that was completely broken. So we held it as long as we felt was necessary to get it out into a point that it was a much more playable wing. It still was put out probably a little earlier than I would have liked. I would have liked to have done a little bit more testing on it and made sure that it was we caught some of the issues and bugs that we found, or that we've been finding over the last few days. But overall, it was in a stable state that we knew it wasn't going to crash the servers necessarily, and completely break characters. So we thought it was okay to put out there, which is part of the reason we had that delay. But in doing that delay, we're also evaluating how we're actually doing our releases. And while in our mind we would like to keep a 3-week cadence, we're not going to necessarily stay with a 3-week cadence completely. We're going to start evaluating our builds based off of the systems we're trying to put in and when they're ready for you to see them. So we're going to try to lock them into either smaller updates or larger updates, depending upon where we are on those systems. So we may see, in some cases, a little bit more frequency for just bug fixes and smaller little systems, but the larger systems may take a little longer in between. That's going to allow us to give us more time to test things internally and make sure that they're in a good place before we put out to the players as much as possible. Are there going to be bugs? There's always going to be bugs. I'll be first to admit that we can't test everything. And there's a lot of things that it's impossible for us to test internal because we don't live in a persistent world as we do on the test servers. And those persistent worlds, things like if we introduce a change to a weapon or something like that, while we try to catch it with updaters that will catch existing players and change those ones to match whatever we updated it to, there's times we're going to miss it. It's going to happen. And that's what we really appreciate, having all of you that actually test on go in there on a daily basis and test for us and report bugs. That is extremely important and helpful for us, and we thank you every day for it. And I got completely off on a tangent there. So what I was trying to get to there is that we did push this out a little bit earlier than we would have liked. So we were kind of mid-process in doing the skill changes. So what you're seeing in game is you're seeing the skill tree was updated, and in some cases you can unlock current skills, but the skill fundamentals underneath them don't work because that was in a branch and ready to go with our next update. They'll be there. So you're going to find right now, like the grenade launcher, some of the pistol revamp that's in there. You can see the skills and unlock them, but you're currently not getting the skill to actually do it, which is a bummer that we actually ended up in that situation. But we are going to finish that up with the next update, and you will have those resolved and available to you. That kind of leads into the other system that we put in was the loadout system.
Abilities.
What the loadout system? Yeah, it's ability loadouts. So the loadouts are associated with a kiosk currently. You go to that kiosk, and your current equipped tool or weapon that you have allows you to customize it. Right now, it's a very basic customization, and you will potentially break yourself if you do parts of it right now. The example I would give, if you go there with your terraformer, you're going to have the ability to remove your current abilities that you have there, but they're currently broken and you can't add them back. So if you'd like to have a terraformer that you can't scan with, go to a loadout, take your scan off, and you will break it and you won't be able to scan anymore, and you'll need a new terraformer. Don't recommend doing it, but hey, if you want to, you have at it. You play you. But what that system is going to allow us to do is that you have your base chassis of what your weapon is that you're creating. So I'm going to use the grenade launcher as an example. I've created a grenade launcher and I decided I want a heat attack onto it. And the crafting process, I've now made that grenade launcher. But I want to go in and change the actual specials that I have available to it because I don't like the current ones there. I can remove that current special if I've got the skill unlocked for that special. I can then go in there and apply a different one to it. And in our skill tree, for example, like we've got down a little ways in the grenade launcher, there's one called lift, I think, or uplift. Uplift is an example. It's not a primary attack that you would usually get, but you can apply it instead of one of your existing ones. It's a cool attack because it's a crowd control attack because it basically causes the creatures to basically float into the air a little bit for a few seconds, and then they drop back down, and then they can attack again. So you can use that for crowd control. But that's the way that system is going to go, and every tool and weapon that we create kind of going forward are going to have abilities like these. So you can customize them and design your character and your loadout the way you want it to be. It's going to be a neat system for you. It's just very basic that we're starting with right now. We're aiming at every weapon should have at least 4 different skills to choose from as the basic loadout, and we'll continue to grow on that as we go forward. But that's our first pass, is to basically go through all the current ones we have, make sure they have that. Kind of looking a little bit more in the future, we're going through and customizing each of our weapons to be very specific roles. I'm going to try to define that differently. So they have a very different feel to it. The first one we're going to be attacking is the pistol. You're going to see that in our next update. The pistol is going to operate differently than what you have right now. It's going to be changed to be more of a short-range, mid-range weapon. It's going to have the feel that we're aiming for. That is, think of like a 6-shooter. an Old West 6-shooter is what your pistol is going to kind of change to be more like. And that weapon will have its own feel to it and a goal of what we're trying to accomplish. And then all the specials around it will be associated with that. So if you think of like a 6-shooter, you've got 6 bullets that you can fire very quickly, then you need to reload. And when you reload, it will reload all 6 of them and you can fire them again, kind of like ammunition in that situation. But you may have specials that you, through passives or actives, that might be a quick fire, I think is one of them that we're talking about doing in there. And your special will basically fire all 6 of them very, very quickly, as if you were just rapidly hitting on your 6-shooter. We're going to design a lot of the weapons around those kind of concepts for it. To use examples of it, think of various different MOBAs that are on the market and how you see different types of character sets that are set up there that are very specialized to go a certain route. That's kind of the way our weapons are going to end up in the end, in a situation that allows you to customize your character for your gameplay, depending upon the weapon that you use and the skills that you choose to put on that weapon and the skills that you have as passives associated with your character to allow you to customize it for the way you want to play. So that's kind of where the loadout system is and how that system is going to be implemented in game. Again, right now we're running through and we're adding in various different systems that we're currently missing from the game and putting in the basic system. They will not be finalized, they will not be polished necessarily, and they will not be the full system when we're putting them in. That comes later down the line as we get feedback on them and make sure the systems work the way we want and is what the players are looking for. But we want to get them in earlier for you so you can see that basic concept as soon as possible. You look like you want to talk, Larry.
Oh, no, I was just looking for Thomas out here in space. Found him.
Oh,
yeah, I was wondering, why is there this greenish material here? It's not
It looks like uranium or something. Is it grass?
Yeah,
that looks like peat.
Yeah, I think it is. Oops. Maybe there's a microatmosphere.
So to talk about a few other things that we did change with this particular update. For anybody that has played our game previously and has logged in, and when you log into this update, one of the things that's going to be very obvious to you is we changed your movement speed on you. The big reason we did that is in general, players were moving faster than we had wanted them to, especially at their base level. And in doing this, we went through and not only changed what the player movement speed is, we've changed the creature movement speed, the projectile speeds connected with them. And what this has produced for us is a much more interesting combat system. Because you're slower, it's a little bit easier you have to spend more time on dodge and actually avoiding attacks a little bit. But also by slowing down the projectiles, you have the ability to do that. Because before, as soon as they fired, you knew you were going to get hit by it for the most part, unless you actually use dodge. You have the ability to just move around a little bit. And it's made an interesting change to the combat system. Like talking to some of the players and seeing what their opinions of it. Overall, the opinions that I've heard from have been positive on that. Yes, we definitely nerfed down things like the grav mesh, and we nerfed down your general movement speed. Some of these are going to be offset by some of the skill systems that we're going to introduce as we're going forward. Things like going into the ranger tree and doing things like mountaineering and things. You're going to be able to increase some of your speed. You're probably never going to get to the speed that we were before, because it was a little too fast for those situations. But you will be able to customize that and increase those speeds. The grav mesh is also one of those systems that we converted it over from using stamina to using batteries. We believe this is the right decision and where we want to go with it. In doing it, we probably need to look at the balance of it. We did adjust things. So your grav mesh, what you currently use, the speed that it was and the amount that you could use it before, we pretty much reduced that down by about 60% right now, which is a pretty significant change. Part of the reason for that change is that we do want to add in the PQRV values to your grav mesh, so you'll be able to increase that and make it a little bit closer to what it was before by making a very good one. Also, your skills and things like rangers and things like that may also enhance that. So we want to have some more room to work with that we didn't currently have because it was too powerful before. The other side effect of that is, we'll call it a bug. It is a bug, but it isn't a bug. The idea behind it before, people were using stamina potions in order to basically endlessly fly. It cost them a lot of stamina consumables, but they could do it. You can't do that with the grav mesh right now because of the fact that the version that we have normally would be you replace out your battery on your grab mesh. You do that and you use a power cell to replace out your battery, and it functions and works, but it works off of what is currently on your tool belt. So you're replacing out the battery on your weapon or your tool that you're using, not your grab mesh. We're probably going to have to make a new consumable that's specifically just for grab mesh to support that and make that change, because otherwise it doesn't know where to actually use that battery. So currently, when I say it's kind of a bug, not a bug, it's a feature we didn't add in. The bug behind it is you don't have a replacement for the system of spamming the stamina potions that you used to have to continuously fly. You are stuck with the battery recharge rate that you currently have. So you will be a lot more hopping of using the grab mesh than flying right now. Will that change? It's in discussion of whether we add in a battery pack that supports that or not. We'll see on where that falls on the design board. But we're aware of it and we are looking into it. What else? We talked about that.
We have key mapping, a feature that it is a must-have in video games, and the community asked for it for like over a year, I suppose, like for way too long. And now we have it, even if we still have some bugs with it, if I remember correctly, when it comes to duplicate key mapping.
I'll encompass that in kind of a larger change that we're actually working on right now. We've been working for the last, 4 to 6 months, basically, converting over our UI system from an older system that we were using to pretty much a base, not exactly a base, but a customized base unit of Unity, rather than using a third-party software associated with it. The reason we're doing that, one, is the third-party software we're using was overcomplicated for what we actually need. It had a lot of bells and whistles that were just things that we weren't going to use. And while it's a great software and it works in a lot of different games for various reasons, a lot of single-player games worked really well, it was slowing down our development cycle of making changes to the UI, and it just had a lot of extra bloat that we didn't need. So we've been going through and converting all of our UI elements into a base Unity version that we can function and use a lot faster and quicker. It really increases our development time on the UI. That process is 99% complete right now of converting over our UI elements. And that really helps us a lot in that system. With our next update, we're actually going to be completely pulling that system out of it and will be completely converted, which then allows us to move forward with a lot of our time has been spent on the UI side of things, of converting the old stuff into the new. Now we can start moving forward with move the new stuff into more playable, more quality of life changes and things like that. We also, in the process of doing that, we did lose some functionality that we had with our original ones in converting them over, and we need to go back and bring those back to parity. The quick example I would give for it is when you're crafting things. We have a new crafting UI that came out with this particular update, and it looks different than what our old one was, and the basic functionality is the same, but you lost a few things in that process of like craft another button is not there. Ideally, instead of having craft another, we're going to have the ability for you to pick how many you want to craft, kind of things. And those are the changes we can start working on and doing those quality of life changes going forward. And you're going to see that with a lot of our UI elements of them being polished and cleaned up as we go forward. The other advantage we get from that is because we've moved back to the base Unity as our core of our UI, we don't specifically have to have only a UX designer doing design of UI. We can have some of our designers, such as Light, for example, throw together at least prototype versions of some of our UI elements so we can get systems in faster for you guys to take a look at it. They won't be the final versions because we'll need to go through and polish them, add trimmings and clean and make it look nice and pretty after the fact, but the base functionality can be done by a larger group of people now than we previously had. And that's going to allow us to increase that speed an amazing amount to get the UI out that door. So that also led to, once we actually had the old system out and the new system in, things like the key binding system we couldn't do properly in our old system. So by moving to this one, we were able to uncomplicate the system and now be able to add the key bindings. It's certainly not perfect right now. You have it in your options. You have the ability to go in and change out various keys. Some of the terminology we have there telling which keys are where aren't great. We don't have the ability for you to currently have duplicate keys used, and several other bugs that we have with it. And we'll continue to polish that and clean it up and make it better as we go along. But the basic functionality is there now and available to the players. Another one that we changed with this particular update is if you open your inventory, Thomas.
Yep.
And in there, you're going to see on the right, there's a consumables tab. So previously, you would hold down your F key, and it would bring up a radial similar that you see there, and you would it would auto-populate the consumables for you. Instead, we've now made it its own toolbar that you can go in and you can assign them where you want inside there. And then when you go to the general tab and you use F, if you hold down F, you can pick and choose which one you're going to use. If you tap F, it'll use the currently one you have selected. That is the basic element of our radial menu. Once we have that radial menu polished up and cleaned a little bit, we're going to be able to use that in various other areas of the game. Places, an example I would say would like a homing or a homestead unit. Currently, you go over to it and you interact with it, opening up a UI element. There's options that maybe instead will make it a radial menu so that you just go to that particular one, opens with the radial, you can quickly select things that you want. And we'll be able to use that throughout the game in various different places. But that's kind of an example of like where we're making changes to the UI that we can reuse in a lot of different places and make things faster and easier for us to use. It's all about quality of life after we actually have the base units in. And in addition to that, in changing out those, the big ones we changed out with this one. So if you're looking for things to look for bugs for us, the crafting UI was one we did, the radial menu for the consumables, your world UI elements that you see in the world, such as the waypoints that you see, the placeholder or the placards above NPC names. These are all new with this particular update. Granted, they will look very similar to the old ones in most parts, but they are changed out and they potentially have bugs that we need to actually identify and look for. With the nameplates, for example, we did add customization. Actually, there are two different things. The nameplates, we made them clearer and a little easier to see, so they'll look a little different. And then we added in customization for your chat system. Actually, was that the last update?
No, previous one. I think.
One.
This one?
Yeah, you can see the color and appearance of the chat messages.
Yeah, because I remember we had it ready like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it just blurs.
Yeah.
Time. It's a weird concept. So we've added in a customization there, so you can change a limited number of your chats right now, and this is basically the first iteration on it, and we're going to change it and add it so you can customize it more. Another step that we're going to do in the future, when the timeline is, but like our chat window right now has the tabs up in the upper top section of it for information and general chat. We want to allow you to customize those more, so you can choose what type of missions go where. Yep. It's basic chat functionality, and those are things that we're working on in the future. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. And that's kind of like talking about the UI of like what we're working on in the background there and the reasons we're doing those fundamental changes. And it's mainly to get us moving forward faster. I think from a system standpoint, that's the majority of stuff. We did some other minor changes, like we changed out the Helix appearance for it. We did some optimization of the way the Helix works a little bit. We went through and did a bunch of quality of life fixes and changes, things like the dodge, for example. We increased your iframe length for the dodge, so it's a little bit longer of a duration that it's actually ignoring damage. For those that don't know, we have a dodging game. Currently, it's assigned to control. While you're moving, if you tap the control button, which some players like to remap that, and we may have to consider that ourselves. It's a little bit awkward of a position. But as you're rolling, when an attack is coming in a projectile, you will actually ignore that damage. So it allows you to dodge attacks and not take those hits, and you don't have to physically move as much in order to do that. If you get good at it, it really helps out in combat. I am really bad at it, so I don't get it to work as well as I'd like, but I'll work on that. I got to try remapping it and see if that helps me. I don't know. We'll see. But we did a bunch of quality of life changes like that.
Shield changes.
New building
Shields.
blocks.
We did introduce a few ones. I think I missed in the release notes the stove and the something else. There was two small ones that we also added that made it into the game. And I suppose to talk about the larger scale idea of building blocks, we're continuing to evaluate not only the performance of the building blocks we have, but also which ones we're providing to players. We want to develop what that core pack is of what are the required pieces that you need to just do basic building. And then we want what is the core pack of decoration pieces that are needed. Things like we've been slowly adding in a lot of the decoration pieces, adding in chairs and stools, tables, smaller pieces that you can work with and you can add in. On the grander scheme of things, once we have these identified as what these core packs are, that's going to allow us to use our shader modifications that we have in there, so we potentially can provide you different variations of those particular ones, so that it may have the same basic mesh and shape, but the appearance of it looks different. And that's something we're working on in the background, trying to get. That's a core fundamental change that we're trying to make to the game, because that also leads into things like our character models actually having different clothing, different, and as we get into like our Dynamo integration, we're going to have the customization of your player in the facial features, the size, the shape, things like that. These all relate together in how we're actually creating these systems. But some of those are a little bit longer down the line, but that's kind of where we're aiming at and trying to get to. Oven and Disco Ball. Disco Ball is the other one. Yeah, we added that one in.
We've seen those at the spawn of this world.
Yeah, there's a cool one that Waboba has created, a monument with them.
And we'll continue to add a few decoration items in. But for the most part, I think we've got majority of our core ones are in at this point. Now it's going to look at if there's any specific core ones we need to add and specific decorations that we need. There's probably a few we'll get down the line. Like, I don't think you guys have like the medical kit, for example. No. It's a model that we have available. We could throw it in if we wanted to. There's a few pieces like that we have available and art created for them. We just haven't felt the right time to put them in yet. But it does allow a lot of customization and creativity of our builders. It's one thing I'm impressed every single day. I log into a server and look around and see what you guys build with the limited number of pieces we give you right now. It's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. It really is. You see some really incredible stuff. I mean, they've got a hot spring house I can see from here that looks great.
Last but not least, just to talk a little bit about the update again, because I've been talking forever on this, but there's lots of little subjects. We do have some known issues. We did a quick test on a Wednesday, and we evaluated what we found in there. There are a few of them that are of concern, but not enough concern that we're going to hotfix them out quite yet. So we're pushing those into our next release we do, which will be as soon as we can. But some examples of some of those known issues that we have. One is we do know that currently when you zone, your character seems to be continually moving a little bit. So if you travel through a portal very quickly, you're going to find yourself in the next zone a little ways away from where you actually expected to. It's a minor issue that we've come across. In most cases, doesn't cause too many problems. But just so you're aware, like coming out of the tutorial hall going into Haven, oftentimes people are ending up 15, 20 meters in the future in the brush in the garden area and stuff like that. We're aware of it, and we will resolve it as soon as we can. We do have several items that we introduced with like the newer drops that we end up dropping from NPCs. Some of those are showing up as purple boxes right now.
Yep.
The purple boxes is something that we intentionally put into game as default assets for things that we missed or we don't have assets for. So every one of those is a bug, but in most cases we also know about a lot of those beforehand because we make them very obvious, these giant purple, pink boxes for it. So just so you're aware that some of those do exist right now. We will resolve those and get those out. We're also aware with the movement changes, there's some changes we need to optimize and clean up a little bit. Like the grab mesh, we're not sure we have it balanced the way we want it yet, whether it's too high, too low. Jumping currently isn't being accounted for directly as it should be. So
stairs and ramps, someone mentioned on the Twitch chat about that. We know.
We're aware of it. The question that we actually posed from a gameplay standpoint, and we will definitely do some kind of adjustment on it, but the reality behind it is that is the movement changes of anywhere you walk. If you walk or traveling in an upward angle, you will slow down your speed. If you're moving downward in an angle, you will speed up your speed. That is a basic fundamental that we're trying to keep. The question that we pose in there is that the stairs are at a pretty significant angle and we've designed them for building. So in those situations, we probably should ignore part of that movement change in there. They may still have a little bit of a reduction, but it's a little extreme right now, and we probably need to adjust that. but the basic functionality, it actually works. It does what it's supposed to do. It's just we need to put an override in that particular place just for that one gameplay situation.
If you stick there for too long, you can like accumulate speed or acceleration and go super fast. I'm just exploiting bugs for the people, you know.
A few other things of just concern of we've identified is Crucible, for example. If you go there and it's a very deadly place at times, especially if you go near the lava. As it turns out, it's hot and it will kill you. If you go down there and you die, you produce a corpse. That's expected. We expect that to happen. But you go down there and you die again and don't pick up your corpse, you now lose that first corpse. While that is anticipated for our gameplay that we have, the problem that we're currently running into that is you may have quest pieces that were needed to complete that mission on that corpse and you've now lost them. We are aware of this issue. It is unfortunate that we ran into that situation. We're not going to fix it immediately with a hot fix, but we are going to resolve this with our next update for sure. But keep that in mind, that if you are creating a character and you're running through Haven and you die into a situation like that, try to get your corpse as best you can. Ask for help from other people if you need to, but keep in mind that you potentially might gate yourself in that situation. If you're used to using Haven stuff, the one thing that is nice, I guess, is that if you're familiar with the quest and you've gone through it, you can basically complete that in about an hour or so and get completely off of the tutorial if you want. We're going to make that much faster as we revise things, and we're going to fix that issue that things that are required, like quest pieces like that, shouldn't end up in a situation where you can lose them. There was another one I wanted to mention. What was another one I wanted to mention? I completely forgot what it was.
About?
Out?
I don't know. What did you forget about? What was the topic?
I don't remember. There was another known issue that we found over the last few days. Oh, I kind of talked about it a little bit. It was the fact that you can gate yourself on your tools using the loadout system. While the loadout system is really cool, it is kind of a little bit finicky right now. And be careful a little bit because if you do remove skills, you might not be able to add a new skill. So be hesitant at times when you're looking at that and deciding to remove things from your current tools. And keep in mind that some of the skills that you're unlocking in the skill tree aren't able to be added back in. So like the grenade launchers, you'll have the base. You get the base one? I can't remember if you get a base one special. I don't think you get a base special even. So you're only going to have your primary attack on the grenade launchers until we fix this issue. That's enough of the negative, of the bad things that we did wrong. We won't talk about more of those. Kind of talks about the whole update we had and kind of an idea where we are. The other thing to kind of bring up during this session a little bit is, and kind of wanted to start a little bit with this earlier, but as you may noticed, I'm on the screen a lot more than previously. We have made some, due to the industry and where we are with that, we have made some changes within our company and stuff. So team positions have changed, moved around. Some have been removed at this point. So just kind of the FYI that you'll see a lot more of Thomas and myself probably and our moderators helping out in the future with it too. Certainly affects our company in certain ways, but there's also very good reasons that we had to do some of the changes that we've made. I'm not going to dwell on that and speak too much on there. Just kind of wanted to bring it up as something that we have there. With that kind of talks about the whole Crucible update and things like that. Anybody have questions?
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention to the chat. So.
Yeah, no, they just reported some bugs that we are aware of, such as the ramp. Well, you made the full list actually. Tech is asking for PQRV values during crafting, but I suppose that this can answer by saying that the crafting menu still is not done. We still need to finish it. We applied a fix from the previous update because it was kind of broken, so we are not done with it yet.
There's definitely functionality with, especially the crafting one, that we lost during that process. Though I think the PRQ values do show up on the tooltips for it. The problem is there's a separate bug with tooltips that they sometimes don't show.
Yep.
Restarting your client and going back in and going directly into crafting will get it, so they will show. It's the same thing happens on the skill window also. If you change tabs on the skill window and then go back, you'll lose all your tooltips on it. Known issue that we've identified, and we're working on fixes for it. Specifically, the crafting screen. We ended up in a situation there that the person that was primarily working on our crafting screen and putting that in is one of the changes we made within the company. So another person needed to step in and grab the code that we had and continue moving forward with it. And rather than spending an extra week or 2 weeks to figure out exactly how to get it into parity of what we had before, we chose to take a cut down version of it and get that out into the publish as soon as we could to remove the previous UI stuff out. Putting the new stuff back in will be much faster. I'm not concerned with doing that second pass. We'll be able to do that soon and get some of those fixes in, and probably some additional fixes as we're doing it. So yeah, definitely look for the bugs, find them, and report them. I track them as best I can here and getting them into our hands of our developers, and then prioritizing them. In the end, that priority is the sticky situation that we run into. Is every time while we're focused on fixing bugs and making quality of life better for our playtesters we have, anytime we spend doing that cuts into time of creating new systems. So we have to figure out where that fine line is, and while continue making things better in our current stuff, we want to move forward in our progress of getting additional systems and gameplay in. So some things will take a little longer, some things will come in faster. That's the way game development works. Sorry. It's the best I can give you for that. Any other big questions that were...
Well, just one, but I guess it's design for the future. That I think it is interesting is about, from Chef Jarek, that asked if we will consider the dodge roll being different based on armor types in the future. But I suppose this is something for Rev, maybe?
I'm thinking through the design docs that we have. I don't think the dodge will be specific. I assume what you're basically assuming there is if you're wearing some kind of heavy armor, does it affect what that dodge does? I wouldn't say that's necessarily unreasonable to consider that as a particular design decision. I would think a lot of that would be mitigated through skill systems to potentially resolve that. I also wouldn't be surprised if we introduced different types of dodges that have different effects that they do. I don't know if I would specifically associate that with armor necessarily. I think armor will be more of a reduction of damage that you take specifically on types of attacks based off of the stuff that I've read, some of which I read a year ago. So I'm kind of cloudy on it. I have to go back and reread, but we do have thoughts on exactly how a lot of that is potentially going to work. We just need to implement it and try it out.
Design leaks subject to change, by the way.
Always. Every time I leak something, it's something potentially going to change.
Yeah. Let me double check if we have more questions, but I don't know. Yeah, did I miss?
Stuff's bound to change even after launch.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the wonder of an MMO is that they are never set in stone. Everything changes over time. Concepts that we've designed 2 years ago and haven't designed docs may see the light of day, some may not, and some will be completely rewritten before we actually put it into game. And then things that are in game, we'll go back and revise it. Like the example I would give is the pistol. We have a basic pistol in game right now, and the one that we're working on right now is going to be a significant difference in the feel and gameplay that it exists. I like it. The short time I've had a chance to play with and stuff, it looks really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I guess that's it for today. I don't have anything else to add. Let's hope to stream again soon. Also bringing other type of contents. And yeah. I'll stop now playing with the camera. Else I'll stay here forever.
It's a great planet.
Yeah, I love it.
My closing statement, I guess I would have here is, again, I want to thank you guys for joining us and listening, dealing with me, rambling on. It happens from time to time. We really appreciate you guys jumping in and testing out our game for us, giving us feedback, and helping us design the game that we're looking to play in the future. And we ask you to keep doing that. If you're jumping on our playtest and you're going through and testing stuff and you're finding bugs, reporting those to us through the F11 is helpful. If it's a game-breaking thing, definitely bring it up for discussion on the bug discussion page for it. The big things that I ask for as testers and stuff is try to provide details for it. If you're putting in something and saying, hey, my weapon doesn't work, that doesn't tell me anything. I need specifics of what that weapon is, what it's doing, what you expected it to do. Writing up a little bit more details in those bugs allow us to identify it and reproduce it. That's the big thing I need to be able to do is my testers, my QA team that I have needs to be able to go in and reproduce the bug. We don't give something that you say, hey, this is a bug directly to a developer and say, go fix this. We want to make sure we understand it and we can reproduce it. So I'm going to, every time a person asks me, like, what can I provide more information? It's repro steps. If you have a way that you can do it 100%, that is extremely useful for us in providing that to us. I know it's a lot to ask because that requires you to potentially go in and spend extra time going through that's not your normal gameplay. And we're not, forcing you to do this. This is an option and a request. But if you have the ability to do that and provide the bugs in that situation so that we can reproduce them quickly, it allows us to fix them faster and make that gameplay more fun and interesting for you.
And by the way,
a lot of testers are doing a great job with that.
Yeah, indeed. Some of you already are doing this, sharing videos, images, logs, even without asking those. So I can only say thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And then if Rod is not online,
the images, especially the videos of repros and the logs, they go a long mile.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I'm going to be quiet. I'm done.
All right. Thank you guys again. And thank you, Rod, for speaking the whole stream.
Thanks, everybody.
And for Lyric and for Marco. Oh my God, I forgot.
See you next time.
Until next time.
Yeah. And by the way, no. Not done yet. If you have any feedback about speed or those changes that may be, I don't know, new. I'm taking the example of the movement speed because I've saw some comments about it. Please do share those because we are trying to collect as much information as possible to understand if we need to change those values before like more players join in and maybe complain about some feature that is not well placed or balanced. So not just bugs, also feedback. Don't be scared to shout out what you don't like. Please do it. We appreciate when you say that you like the game, but at least from my point of view, I love to read also sometimes negative review that can help me understanding what I can do to improve the game overall. And that's it. I'm not going to speak any longer. I'm going to stop here. All right. Thank you guys and see you in the next stream. Bye-bye.
See you guys.